Hey Sunflowers, this is Lynnie with Sunflower Spirit Tarot. This is going to be an intuitive tarot reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, or any other significant placements. Or for those of you who may be dealing with the Leo, cross watchers are always welcome. This is just going to be a general reading, so it may apply to more than just a romantic relationship. But I tend to focus on relationships as I feel relationships are how we learn a great deal about ourselves. Beginning the reading with the King of Swords, followed by the Hermit and the Eight of Swords, the Five of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, the High Priestess, the Eight of Wands, the Lovers, and the Six of Wands. The overall energy being the Ten of Cups, with the hidden energy as the Nine of Wands. I feel like there is someone in your energy coming up as this King of Swords. The King of Swords represents masculine air sign energy. It could represent a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. They don't have to be those signs. It is just talking about the energy. This is someone you may have isolated yourself from, or someone who may have ghosted you or you ghosted, someone that you have not been in communication with intentionally. I think this person uses their words or their voice to be deceptive, to manipulate, to control. If this is speaking to a personal relationship, whether romantic or platonic, I feel like you are dealing with someone who is very controlling and codependent. It's almost as if they need you to need them. Ever since you separated yourself from this person or isolated yourself from them, I feel like you have found a greater sense of joy and peace and happiness. I think you're starting to feel a lot more optimistic about the future. I think you have a clearer vision about what it is that you want for yourself, independent of this person. I think that you're finding that you tend to self-sacrifice a lot in your personal relationships, or you allow the people that you are in relationship with to dictate certain things, even down to your values or how you carry yourself. It could specifically be the way that you dress, the way that you speak, who you hang out with. I think that you are getting to the core of who you are. I think you're learning to trust your intuition. And I think a lot of that has to do with being in hermit mode. You could currently be in hermit mode, or you could be going into hermit mode at the time of this reading. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, it basically means a self-imposed isolation. A lot of us still have to go to work. We could be parents who still have to take care of children. You could be married. You still have to, do things with your spouse. So when I say hermit mode, I'm not talking about locking yourself in a closet for weeks at a time and not seeing anyone or speaking to anyone. Hermit mode is more about turning all of your attention inward. It's about being in a really introspective space. So even if your external world doesn't reflect back to you that you are actually in hermit mode, it doesn't really matter as much as where are you directing your thoughts at this time. And I think most of your thoughts are being directed inwardly. Who are you? What do you want? What do you value? What is the vision that you have for your future? And how have you allowed your indecision or your inability to take control of your life to hinder you from becoming your most full and authentic self? I think you have a tendency to depend on others in the past to tell you who you are. And a lot of people might initially reject that thought. When I say that, they might think, I know who I am and I don't need other people to tell me who I am. I don't need other people to tell me that I'm kind or smart or anything like that. But from what I see, it looks as if you may have been really dependent on a lot of external validation. You needed you needed people to tell you that you were good or that you were doing something right. I don't know if you had difficulty understanding how valuable you are, if you didn't understand how valuable your gifts are, and how strong and capable you are on your own without anyone else's assistance or opinion. There's an energy here of fully leaning into your independence. It is possible that you've struggled with codependency in the past, always needing someone to be right there with you, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship, even familiar relationships. I think that you are learning that you have everything that you need inside of you to be the best version of yourself, allowing both your divine feminine and masculine energies to come into balance internally, therefore fulfilling that part of you that you might sometimes think that you lack. A lot of times the things that we love about other people are the same things that we love about ourselves, right? If you see somebody walking down the street with a really bright outfit on, right, that you wouldn't see most people wear, it's not necessarily that you want their clothes or you want their style. It's that you admire their confidence. And the same things that you admire in other people, you have inside of you. So it's just about learning how to accept that about yourself and express that in your own way. You don't have to show up in the world how other people show up. Let's use confidence for an example. If you are learning how to be a more confident person and how to carry yourself in the world confidently, it's not about emulating other confident people. It's just about showing up how you want to show up and not allowing the opinions of others to deter you from what it is that you want to do or the statement that you're trying to make. I think as you continue to separate yourself from this King of Swords energy, you will find more confidence. The voice of your intuition will become stronger and louder. I think that you're learning to trust yourself and to stand on your own 2 feet. It could be that this isolation was forced upon you in some way, and maybe you didn't understand why you needed to be alone. You maybe felt very lonely or will feel lonely if you are now transitioning into a more isolated state. But I just want you to understand that Spirit is just asking you to see that everything that you look for in other people is already inside of you. I grew up in a very individualistic society, but being in hermit mode or forced to be independent is not about coming out of this as someone who doesn't appreciate community. It's about understanding that you have your own role to play, your own role to fill, and if you're not being yourself, then you cannot properly fulfill that role. If you're not operating authentically, you can't properly fulfill your sense of purpose or provide service to the community that you're a part of, right? It's important to acknowledge that everything that you want, all the goals that you have set for yourself or will be setting for yourself, you can achieve. But there will be outside voices that will try to undermine your authority. There will be people who will try to convince you that you can't trust yourself, that you don't know yourself well enough to make decisions for yourself, that you don't know enough about a certain subject to be able to operate independently and effectively. I feel like there might be people in this world who are attempting to steal your thunder. The way that things manifest in our life aren't specifically um, or aren't limited to only one kind of relationship, right? If you tend to attract controlling people in a romantic sense, then you may look around your friend group and either attract very passive people so that you can be in control, or continue to attract very controlling friendships. You may have very controlling parents or incredibly passive parents. It's usually these extremes at which we are exposed to that kind of dictate the person that we become and the people that we attract into our lives. As you reclaim your inner authority, I think that you will find that you are actually experiencing more collaborative relationships. And there will be no need for codependency. There will be no need for someone to be controlling or to be manipulative. It's about working together. It's about interdependence as well as independence. You may be seeking out a specific kind of relationship at this time and wondering why you haven't found it. You may feel as if you've done the work, as if you've reclaimed your sense of inner authority and you're ready to seek out another relationship, but a healthy relationship, and you haven't really found anyone. And I'm speaking specifically romantically. You haven't really found anyone who sparks your interest. Maybe you feel very detached from romance or from dating or putting yourself out there. Maybe you feel like you're not in an emotional space, but at the same time, this kind of synergistic partnership is something that you desire. It is something that you want to move towards. I think that if you are resisting romantic partnership at this time, or if you're having a difficult time finding someone who you would want to be in romantic partnership with, I think it's because you are almost worried that you will compromise your independence, or that you will again be asked to sacrifice yourself, your values, or the things that you enjoy, or your other personal relationships. You might be worried that you're going to fall into the same pattern that you've always fallen into. What I would recommend is that you really lean in and trust your discernment on this. I do feel like there are already people around you who embody those kind of negative King of Swords qualities, right? The controlling, manipulative, deceptive kind of qualities or characteristics. You see them. And the fact that you see them is an indication that your discernment has been developed enough to identify these traits in people. That way you learn how to avoid them, right? Once again, trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, and not necessarily allowing yourself to be sold a dream. I think some of you are or have been connected to a lot of people who say a lot of things. Future faking is a term that I have recently become acquainted with, and in a specifically romantic capacity, it speaks to when someone promises you a future very early on, just to get you to be vulnerable with them or to open up to them in a way that you wouldn't normally do if you weren't sure about the future of your relationship. I think you like this idea of people being all in with you. And to be honest with you, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. But I do feel that people have a tendency to promise you things that not only they cannot deliver, but they have no real intention to, right? It's like they're promising you things, like I said, to get you to open up in a way that you wouldn't normally open up, but they aren't following through. It's like you're very familiar, with people who are all talk, right? The way that they carry themselves doesn't match who they are telling you they are. It's like someone telling you how much they love you, how much they care about you, how much they want to be with you, and they continue to lie to you, to deceive you, to manipulate you, to be with people outside of your relationship, to entertain people outside of your relationship. There's a very specific message here about someone being in relationship with someone else who likes to make them jealous, who likes to trigger jealousy. That's not for everyone, but I do feel like that has created a level of distrust between you and anyone who tends to embody those same qualities as that person. I think dealing with these types of people has not only developed your discernment, but it's given you a level of clarity and enhanced your perspective in a way where you don't need to be afraid of someone getting over on you. You don't need to be afraid of being vulnerable or being close to people, because I think that naturally at this point you'll begin to select people who do feel safe to you. Sometimes when we grow up around people who do have these undesirable characteristics, they like to lie, they like to cheat, they like to manipulate, they like to control, we tend to normalize that. And if we see those same things in our personal relationships outside of our family or in our romantic relationships, they might feel comfortable to us or familiar to us. And we might not understand just how damaging they are in the moment because we're used to it. I think that you are unlearning a lot of the things that you learned when you were young, and you're realizing how much the relationships that you've already experienced have impacted the way that you choose people to be around you now. And I think that you're starting to understand the patterns that have shown up in your life as far as choosing people, as far as who you're going to befriend or who you're going to be in a romantic relationship with. I think you have so much more of an understanding of who you are and what it is that you need. You need people who are going to be honest with you. You need people who you can trust. You need people who aren't going to try to bend you to their will or force you to be something that you're not. I think that you have a lot less patience and a lot less tolerance for people who aren't really offering you much besides pretty words or making promises that they can't keep. And this is in any capacity. And you should value that. Sometimes it may make you feel as if you're too cold or if you're moving too strategically, because maybe you feel as if those are unhealthy characteristics or negative characteristics. But when you're dealing with people who are abusing your trust, I think it's healthy for you to remember that it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to stand your ground. It's okay to not give chance after chance after chance. Leaving at the first sign of dysfunction or deception or manipulation, when you've dealt with it so thoroughly in the past, is really the best way that you can honor yourself. I'm not saying to not be graceful, but I think you have cultivated enough discernment to know in which situations and circumstances to be graceful. And sometimes there are people that you just need to shut out. You are responsible for protecting yourself and protecting your heart. This doesn't mean that you've become jaded or dysfunctional or unwilling to accept love on love's terms. But people who truly love you aren't going to lie to you. I think you're moving ahead, separating yourself from the relationships that make you feel like you should doubt yourself. Separating yourself from the relationships with people who gaslight you into believing that they are the best you'll ever do or the best you'll ever have. I think you're learning to be patient with people, But more so than being patient with people is being patient with the process of getting to know people, not rushing into new friendships or relationships simply because they're feeling a void within you, because I think you're learning how to fill that void on your own. My advice to you would be to continue trusting your intuition. Allow Spirit to guide you to the people, the places, the environments, the experiences, and the situations that will honor you and that will also be in alignment with who you are right now today. This is the message that I have for you, Leo. I hope that this was helpful or enlightening in some way. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.